So, where do we come from? I tell you, it's a question that's been around since words, thoughts, language became to be, and there's different versions about the genesis of men. Many stories from all over the world that have been hidden from us and buried. All of these religious stories with different beliefs, yet they all seem to have similarities to them, don't they? Well, we have found a few buried tales, and they are quite interesting. We are going to discuss these tablets that hold a story about the origin of men and the reason we came to be. And when we are done, you might just question your beliefs, your gods, and your faith. Because this is not your traditional Adam and Eve story. Oh, no. This is about a group of deities that reside on a planet that NASA suspects exists and refers to as Planet 9. Well, let's get to this, strangers. Let's talk about the Anunnakis. Now let's dig deep and embrace the strange. Something strange about the Anunnaki. Suspend your belief for a while. Wonder where we come from. So many prophets documenting their side of their stories. Who knows if it's true or just another tool to control us? But knowing where we come from is important. I guess it'll help us understand our purpose. The thing is, nobody wants to tell us the truth. So they leave us no choice but to dig for information. Literally. And what did we find? There's a place named Mesopotamia, which is known today as Iraq, where the first civilization were from, the Sumerians, where they left documented history on the walls and tablets. Among the many ancient Sumerian clay tablets discovered throughout the years, there are certain ancient texts that many believe are the ultimate evidence of advanced alien civilizations interacting with early humans. I know, I said aliens. But remember, suspend your belief. Without a doubt, one of the most controversial puzzles of mainstream archaeology is the sheer number of cuneiform tablets discovered in the ruins of Babylon in southern Mesopotamia, where Sir Austin Henry Layard came across a historical treasure in 1849. Among the various tablets found on the site, there were stories and legends that have a resemblance to biblical accounts of creation, the deities that came to earth, and references of the Great Flood, the Ark, and what many interpreted as descriptions of hybrid humans and mighty gods. The Sumerians are considered by many as the creators of our civilized world. It is also known that the ancient civilizations which flourished in Mesopotamia fell in love with the cosmos and introduced the universe as an imperative part of their everyday lives. Sounds like everybody from around that timeline were more in tune to the universe than we are. Zecharia Sitchin, an author of many books, proposing an explanation for the origins of humans involving ancient astronauts, attributes the creation of the ancient Sumerian culture to the Anunnaki, a term meaning those that from heaven came down to earth, which was a race of extraterrestrial from a planet beyond Neptune called Nibiru, which means the planet of the crossing, because together with its moons, they form a cross image. And Nibiru is located at the crossing. Nibiru is a magnetic planet causing the Earth to tilt in space as it passes. The planet is also believed to have 4 times the diameter of Earth and is 23 times more massive. A truly gigantic planet. It is believed that it will cause days of obscurity while passing next to other planets, possibly even stopping their rotation during its transition across space due to its incredible magnetic properties. It is also associated with great dangers. Some researchers believe if a planet like Nibiru would come close to Earth, it would cause large earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, creating an entirely new geography and climate. Perhaps Nibiru is the reason we are seeing all of these natural disasters. It's possible. According to ancient texts, Nibiru is wrapped in a cloud of dust iron oxide, red, making the rivers and lakes acquire a reddish color. Nibiru is supposed to circle the sun every 3,600 Earth years, and the Anunnaki arrived on Earth for the first time about 450,000 years ago. And when the Annunaki arrived on Earth, they weren't alone. Any of you guys who are familiar with ancient astronauts, there are likely a number of terms you have become familiar with. Anunnaki, Nephilim, yeah, we've heard of that one. Reptilians. But one word which you may not be as familiar with is Igigi. This term doesn't crop up a whole lot in Sumerian and Babylonian lore, but where it does, it has fascinating implications. The Igigi were being forced to dig a watercourse. They got tired of it, so they revolted against Enlil, one of the head Anunnaki. They burned their tools and surrounded Enlil's estate. When the Anunnaki realized that the Igigi are not going to give up the strike, they decided it is time for a new solution to the labor problem. And that solution is the creation of human beings. At this point, if you are not all too familiar with Mesopotamian mythology, you probably have a few questions. Who was Enlil? Why was all this labor needed? Where does humanity fit into the picture? To summarize briefly, the Anunnaki pantheon begins with Anu, the great father of the sky. Anu was originally the supreme ruler of the Mesopotamian gods. He did have parents, two primordial gods named Kishar and Anshar, but they do not play into this tale. Anu's consorts were Ki, the earth mother, and Antu, the great mother of the sky. He bore children by both of them. Anu and Ki's son was Enlil, lord of the air and earth, guardian of the tablets of destinies for a while. They also had a daughter, Nin Kusak, lady of the mountain. Anu and Antu's son was Enki, lord of the earth and waters, also called Ea. This made Enki and Enlil half-brothers. Now, you might think that being a god is easy, but apparently maintaining creation takes a lot of work. That or gods are just really lazy. Either way, the Anunnaki didn't want to do it, so they saddled the lesser gods, the Igigi, with all that toil. After the Igigi went on strike, the pantheon naturally fell into some pretty heated conflict and disarray. In a bid to gain power, Enlil offered to solve the problem if in turn the gods would name him their supreme ruler. At this point, Enki, Enlil's half-brother, was fast asleep. He must have been quite the heavy sleeper. Enlil spoke to Enki's mother Antu, who was able to speak to Enki in his sleep. On Enlil's suggestion, she told him the following: "O my son, arise from thy bed, from thy slumber. Work what is wise. Fashion servants for the gods. May they produce their bread." Enki then woke up and had a brilliant idea, implanted in his head, of course, by Enlil. He was going to create a new race of slaves, gathering clay and mixing it with the blood of the slaughtered god Kingu. Enki crafted human beings. They replaced the Igigi as the new slaves, working for the Anunnaki. The origins of human beings, according to ancient Sumerian texts, has another version. Sumerians created an advanced civilization with its own system of elaborate language and writing, architecture and arts, astronomy and mathematics. Their religious system was a complex one, comprised of hundreds of gods. According to the ancient text, each Sumerian city was guarded by its own god, and while humans and gods used to live together, the humans were servants to the gods. The Sumerian creation myth can be found on a tablet in Nibiru, an ancient Mesopotamian city founded in approximately 5000 BC. Sumerian mythology claims that in the beginning, human-like gods ruled over Earth. When they came to the Earth, there was much work to be done, and these gods toiled the soil, digging to make it habitable and mining its minerals. The text mentioned that at some point the gods mutinied against their labor. When the gods, like men, bore the work and suffered the toil of the gods was great. The work was heavy, the distress was much. Anu, the god of gods, agreed that their labor was too great. His son Enki, or Ea, proposed to create men to bear the labor, and so with the help of his half-sister Ninki, he did. The first man was created in Eden, a Sumerian word which means flat terrain. Eden. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, Eden is mentioned as the garden of the gods and is located somewhere in Mesopotamia between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Initially, human beings were unable to reproduce on their own, but were later modified with the help of Enki and Ninki. Thus, Adapa was created as a fully functional and independent human being. This modification was done without the approval of Enki's brother, Enlil, and a conflict between the gods began. Enlil became the adversary of men, and the Sumerian tablet mentions that men served gods and went through much hardship and suffering. Human beings are noisy creatures. Enlil soon tired of them. He decided to kill them all with the flood of legend, the saying that shows up in the Bible in the Epic of Gilgamesh. Enki wasn't a fan of this idea, so he warned a man named Utnapishtim about what was coming and told him to build an ark. He then loaded it up with the mating pairs of animals and boarded with his wife. The flood destroyed all other life on earth, but the waters eventually receded. Utnapishtim then released the animals and the planet was repopulated. So now, you know the context of the story of humankind's creation. According to the certain researchers and authors, the Anunnaki are due to return to Earth to fix what they had done wrong in order to accelerate a spiritual awakening in the evolution of human consciousness. And ever since NASA started exploring the surface of the red planet with the charismatic rovers, people have started searching the images beamed back from NASA's very own alien robots in hopes of finding clues that Mars was once inhabited. And this extremely weird image from Mars has been interpreted by many as the remains of an ancient statue that eerily resembles the depictions of the ancient Sumerian civilization and the Anunnaki. It's possible that this happened, but it can also just be a myth, a tale created for entertainment purposes. What the heck do I know? I wasn't around at that time, but I do know one thing. Everything we have learned shouldn't be held as truth. It should be held as antiquated, because everything we know today can be totally irrelevant if undiscovered tablets are excavated tomorrow.